Hello everyone, my name is Samantha Mellinger and I'm going to be doing the library assignment of Delilah Dirk and the Pillars of Hercules by Tony Cliff, and he had coloring assistance, as it says on the inside here, by Sarah Arenas, Jared Green, Beth Morrell, Amanda Scruti, and Brian Cliff. It is from the second publishing place, and there is a page count of 239 just for the story itself. He does have some extras over like how the work and all that in, which I thought was really nice. It is an actual graphic novel. It is not a complication of stories put in one. It's a whole entire book, and the only little stories they have in there is if it's to help shed light on their previous actions or adventures over what they did. The first act occurs from page 1 to 27, which is relatively short, but you get the idea of what the story is going to be about. The second act starts on page 28 and then lasts all the way until page 199. It is the longest part there, but they have a long ways to go before they could get to the Pillars of Hercules, and there was so much conflict arising with the second act that when it got to the final act, it also tied in the resolution, which starts on page 200 until the final page of the story. Since it did cut away from the beginning and ending to put more in the middle, it does not follow the model, but it does its job well though. The story arc of the story is really excellent. If you are a history buff, this one is probably your best bet with it, because it does deal with, as you know, the Hercules, so it deals with all of that, but it is also fictional. I don't think any of what's happening here is actually real, so it's not like true history. There is a very clear beginning, middle, and end, and the resolution to me was very satisfactory because Delilah and her temporary traveling companion, Lawrence Van Hazo, they start off as, good traveling companions at first, but we see more of Van Hazel's true colors and ambitions as the story progresses, which puts Delilah and Selman in amount of danger from his actions alone. The story arc of this one doesn't really happen with Delilah, even though she's the main protagonist, the main hero, but it happens with Salem. He has always been the person to be the getaway person for Delilah and her crazy schemes for adventures, but he shows a side of himself in this book that actually proves to be useful for their journey. He's able to transform an early form of Arabic since he's from the Turkish army, and he was able to pick up something that would prove to be useful in the future of the story. And then in the end of the book, he was busy helping military people evacuate even when they refused to help generals from other countries. Like, these were big top tier generals. And he showed he could have cared less over from where a man came from at that moment. Before, he would always been terrified to step on their toes. Like, he was all about respect and authority before. And at the end of this story, he was not, because all their lives were in severe danger. I had to read the book a couple of times before I even noticed the transitions on it. It was a smooth read, and I think it was perfect on how they did it, because we just assume the actions are taking place in between the panels. One of the good examples I can provide for you from this is we see Delilah trying to open up the door here on these two pages here. But as it goes on, we can see that she's trying to get it to pull, right? So we assume as we flip the page that she does finally get it open, and they're greeted with this side right here. So yeah, that way there's a good example of the transitions, because we see her getting the door open without actually being shown that she got the door open. Doesn't really make use as the page as a mini comic, but because most of the pages throughout this book doesn't really have a beginning, middle, and end, it uses more of a 2-page as a mini comic approach instead. With almost any page, you can get an idea from where the beginning of the little mini comic is at to the end of it, and you still get a full story, to where if you just use one page, it's more like beginner and the first part of the conflict, and then the ending. The directional flow, I had to read the book a couple of times like I did the transitions before I even noticed it. The movement of the artwork in the panels just leads the reader's eye to the right area and pulls the readers through. Another example of this would be like here. We see what's going on. And then when we move them over here, we get an idea of what Salem is going through and over all the actions that it leads up to. Like you can just see how the artist and the storyteller wants you to read it. The bigger question I have to answer is who I would not recommend this book to, because I would recommend this book to almost anybody, really. I would recommend this book because it has such a good story, and I know a lot of people are not a fan of it, but it does have a female lead character, but she isn't the one telling the story. Salem's the one telling her story to the reader, so it kind of makes it seem like it's we're reading like how Watson did with Sherlock Holmes. We're reading Sherlock Holmes' adventures through John Watson's eyes. And then there's diversity within the book, and there is a lot of action scenes, but humor is also mixed in the story to help relieve the tension a little bit as well. The fun fact I have for this book, and I didn't know this until after I checked it out from the library and read it, is that it is actually the third book in the series. My library doesn't do a very good job of marking which book is which in a series. But I was confused over how Salem and Delilah met, and that's when I Googled it and found out that the first book in the series was Delilah Dirk and the Turkish Lieutenant, which really explains more about Salem's character than it does Delilah. But this is Samantha Mellinger. Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope you all enjoy. Bye!